Bushan, you once you visit Oman and you see how
I think you need to have a lot of self-awareness.
And the biggest challenge is that people actually are self-doubting.
So I had the opportunity to practice 4 times every week on school time.
Me, the motto is not to be the first Indian or the best
We
Indian.
do 70% of my sessions for preparing on my strength.
Bhushan, keep
Yes.
the Sports Champ magazine going because you inspire all of us in school.
That when I played first time for India, it was at the age of 20.
The other thing that's also helped me greatly is like the yoga.
I don't think any sportsman can achieve anything without family support.
Hard work plus courage is equal to champion.
Try to work something on the brand you have.
Strong grassroots training system. I think that will really help our generation.
That, if I can walk around, if I can run around like a normal person, I might as well drive it like a normal person.
Hello everyone, welcome to Sport Champ Live Talk Show, a live journey of an athlete. I'm Bhushan Thakur, founder and editor-in-chief of Sport Champ, a sports education magazine, and your host for today's live talk show. We are happy to start an exclusive series on Indian table tennis heroes, where I'll be having the privilege and honor to interact with Indian table tennis heroes and legends who have made us all proud in national and international arena. And we are hopeful that this exclusive series will guide and inspire many young and upcoming champions of India. Today, we have a very special guest with us, a hero and a legend in the field of table tennis, A.Sharath Kamal, who is undoubtedly the most popular name in the sport of table tennis in India. He has been the flag bearer of Indian table tennis since 2002, winning over 60 international medals in the span of 16 years, of which 9 are Commonwealth Games medals, 2 Asian Game medals. He has won the men's national championship title for a record-breaking 9 times and represented India in 4 Olympic Games in 2004, 2008, 2016 and 2021. In recognition to his contribution in the field of table tennis, Government of India has confirmed him with Arjuna Award and the Padma Shri Award in 2019. Welcome to the show, Sharath, and thank you for accepting my invitation.
Thank you, Bhushan. Nice to catch up with you after such a long time. Was good. Yeah, we were both with the Indian Railways, played together there, and with the Indian team also. So really nice to catch up with you again.
Thank you, Sharath. What do you think about the Sport Champ platform and this exclusive series which we have started on Indian table tennis heroes?
Actually, that's a very nice recollection, I would say, to all the heroes we've all looked up upon. So there are a lot of interviews from you which I didn't even know those sides of so many the yester champions. So it's really nice and enlightening to know their journey, their process, and in turn, it keeps us as players inspiring and moving ahead. So I can clearly see that this platform has really come out and got all the top players back into table tennis with this talk show, and this is in turn helping the table tennis fraternity and the sporting fraternity by and large, to say, because the experiences that is being shared on this platform is, I think, is priceless. I think that's something which everybody should look up to, and I think for the young generation, this is something which is very, very valuable.
Thank you so much, Sharath. Thank you for your valuable words. We start with a Sport Champ challenge where I'll ask you 3 words and you have to instantly tell me what first thing comes in your mind after listening to those words.
Okay.
So my first word to you is faith.
Faith. I think faith in the coach. That's the first thing, because a coach is the one who you believe in. You trust him so much that you blindly follow what he's saying. So for me, the relationship between a player and a coach must be in complete faith. So the person sitting behind me also wants me to win. I want myself to win. The person sitting behind me also wants me to win. So it goes together.
Super. Sacrifice.
Sacrifice, I think nothing can be achieved without any kind of sacrifice. I think even as a young kid, they keep telling it's you focus on what you have to do. Let it be education or let it be sport. When we want to just hang out with friends, that is a small sacrifice at that point in time for us to stay focused and achieve what we want to do. So over the period in time, I've personally sacrificed a lot, family time, and my family has sacrificed a lot, and that is the only reason why I'm able to reach the height what I've reached in my career.
And the next word is, which is very close to your heart, is tricolor.
Yes, I think every time you win that medal, gold medal for India, and the tricolor goes up, your heart is filled with so much pride, and that's the reason why tears are just flowing out of your eyes. There's no control of that emotion, and that's one emotion when the national anthem is playing in the tricolor, the flag is going up. The emotion is you can't describe it in words. I don't even know why I'm crying at that point in time, but tears are just flowing out. So it gets so emotional.
Super. That's a feeling which you can't describe actually.
Yes.
Sharath, you started table tennis at the age of 4, which is very early. And so tell us about your childhood and how did you develop interest towards table tennis?
My father and my uncle, Srinivasarao and Muralidharao, they have been
Yes.
my coaches, and even till now they are my coaches. So my father was an NAS coach, NAS qualified coach, and recently got the Dronacharya award also. So he used to take me along. They were already coaching for players like Chetan and Raman, Bhuneshwari, Selvi. I used to go to the center there along with them as a small kid. And I still vividly remember where my father used to hold me up because I was quite smaller than the table. So one of the coaches or my father will hold me up, and the other side there'll be somebody playing, and I will be trying to hit, or they'll be holding my hand and hitting the ball. So those are the memories I have as a young kid. But I never played for Junior India. I think very few players, I think, who haven't gone up, the ladder in the younger careers, and then slowly started playing for India only in the senior level. So as a young player, I was best in the state under 12, under 14, and under 17. I was state champion, but never ranked majorly in India. By my 10th standard, I decided I will turn professional. That is when I had to decide commerce and table tennis or science and engineering. So I decided. My parents let me choose my career, and I chose. I wanted to play professional table tennis, so I took up commerce. So I think that decision was, that put more pressure on me, because I made the decision, so I had to prove a point, not just to myself, not just to my family, but to the whole society by and large. Because back then, those days, if you're playing sport, people didn't really take you professionally. They always thought it was co-curricular, extracurricular activity.
Correct.
So when we said, "What do you do for a living?" When we said we are sports persons, they thought, "Do you really make a living from that, or do you have some other job?" So coming from that era, slowly started to be professional, and then working little bit harder. I think at that point in time, Kamlesh sir was slowly retiring. So Kamlesh sir had retired. Chetan Babu, S. Raman, Arup Basak. These were the big names, and then there were players like you, Sivaji Datta, Ranbir Das, or these players were coming up. Somadeep Roy. You guys were already there. So for me to break the ice was very, very difficult. But I think Indian Railways at that point in time gave me the right break. We had good training camps. We had a good team where we beat, when you and me, we were on the team, we beat Petroleum Sports Promotion
Yes.
Board back then, the best.
Yes.
They were the national champions, and we beat them at the inter-institution. So I think that gave me a lot of confidence. And then we going to the World Railways also, we four, you, me, Ranveer Das, and Saurav Chakravarti. I think
Yes.
that exposure also gave me a lot of confidence, where slowly I could start playing for India. So only by the age of 1920, actually, I started coming to the training camps, and started representing India uh, at a very later part in my career, in age, let's say.
Correct. Sharath, what is the right age to start table tennis? And like you started at the age of 4. And also one very important question rises is how to choose the right sport at the right time, whether you are meant for table tennis or not. So
See,
can you give a
yeah, I think to choose the right sport, the kids need to have the access or the exposure into different sports. That is one thing which the Western world has the advantage into, because there is so much scope to try different sports thanks to the infrastructure and the access to those infrastructures. They are able to pick and choose which sport they like to play. So in India, that is a little bit of a hassle because there are not so many centers where there is professional coaching, and infrastructure is a major issue. But I feel if at a very young age, if you have access into different sports, at least let's say 3 to 4 sports, you will be able to focus on one very easily. You will be able to choose, and at the same time, uh, while playing multi-sport, it helps you develop your body, your muscular structure in a much better way. So I personally feel it's better to start off any sport by the age of 7 or 8, because then you have, let's say, 7 to 8 years by the time to see if you want to be professional in one particular sport. So you're giving yourself 7 to 8 years time where you can try different sports, because by the time you're in 10th standard, which is you're 15 years old, you have to decide, okay, what do I want to do in my life? Yeah, this is how the Indian structure works. So if you're able to give yourself 7 to 8 years, if the parents are able to give the kid 7 to 8 years of time in trying different sports and seeing what interests them and where their passion is, then the kid will go a long way in that particular sport. He might play for India, he might not play for India, but he will imbibe the qualities of a sports person, like determination, commitment. All these just get adapted to him in his daily life, which will help in any field.
correct. Sharath, as your father Srinivas Rao sir is a Dronacharya awardee and your uncle Muralidhara Rao, who has also coached many international players in table tennis. So what role did they play? Not only just training you or giving you coaching, but apart from that, in your life journey, when you were down, when you were you played your first national or national championship title at the age of 20. So in your life journey, what role they both of them actually played?
I think as to have a parent as a coach, it's very difficult to balance, even for the parent and even for the student. So it was always my father used to tell both me and my younger brother Rajat some things about table tennis, but generally father is always talking. He's trying to advise, or he's telling the kids something. So the kids always retaliate. We're saying like, he's always unhappy with us. He wants us to do this, he wants to do that. But same thing when a coach says, you will just follow. You will not complain. So that role my uncle took. So Muralidhara Rao, he took that role because he was very strict with his rules, and we could not talk back to him. So whatever my father wanted to say as a sport, with regards to table tennis, he used to tell it through my uncle. And also one more thing, what happens is when a family member is your coach, you are emotionally also attached. So professionalism, takes the back seat, and emotion takes the front seat, which is which gets very let's say which gets in the way of your career progress. So as a coach, if you're able to see everything professionally and deal with it professionally, there'll be a healthy relationship between the player and the coach. I think that part my uncle had done it very well, and my father always took a back seat when it came to me and my younger brother. He was always there with the other kids, but when it was with me and Rajat, he never came into table tennis details. Of course, he would take me. He would say, "Okay, play now. Do this, do that." But he would not get into a lot of details in the practice session, or no, he'll just let me play. He'll let me do. But if he wanted to say something, he'll tell it through my uncle.
I can understand this very well because my father was also an international coach. So
Yes.
in my childhood days, I have experienced that very closely. So I
Yes.
can completely understand what you are trying to say.
Yeah, I can still. I think this you would also agree where we will be doing our best but still as a father, he will push us more.
Correct.
So that is something which, as a coach, he might not push the other kids
Correct.
because he's emotionally attached to us.
Correct. Correct. So, just connected to that question only, your father as your coach. So, whom you have experienced the most, your father or the coach?
As I said, it was my uncle who was my coach. So even till date,
Okay.
he like I still have the respect for a coach. With my uncle. With my father,
Okay.
it was more like it was the father son bonding.
Correct.
So he was always there. He was always there. If I wanted to go practice, he was there. He would say, okay, today go here to practice. Tomorrow go there to practice. So all this planning and organization, he was there. But
Correct.
the daily integrate things, Muralidhar Rao sir used to
So, I have a message from Croatia for you.
do. Okay.
Can I play? Can I play? Can I play a
Yes,
message for
please,
you?
please.
This is Srinivasarao, Sharath Kamal's father. Firstly, me and my wife, we are blessed to have a son like Sharath, who has done many things in table tennis, and he has played more than 1 decade, close to 2 decades. And me and my brother, Mr. Muralidhar Rao, myself, we are blessed to have a trainee like Sharath Kamal. Sharath Kamal has been very hardworking right from his childhood. I used to tell him 5:45 we go for practice, but he was ready 5:15 something like that, and he never leaves practice before 9 o'clock. So much of hard work he has done. He used to try strokes differently and lost matches. His career in international started in 2002 after his 20th year. So he had lost a lot of patience in that manner. He never had given up his fight to achieve his goals, what he has done today. And also, he has got lot of sacrifice. He was living in Sweden, Spain, and Germany last 15 years, as you all of you are known. And he left his family. He left us all, and he sacrificed a lot to reach the heights where he is. I wish him all the best for the future endeavors.
So, it on a small one message he was able to send me. I'm so thankful to Srinivas sir that he was able to send me a small message about you.
Really nice that you took the step to get that from him.
Thank you so much, sir. What was there any hustle to choose a career between sports and studies, or you had a clarity from beginning? As you said, that time it was not sports was not that easily accepted.
Yes. There was a hustle. Being South Indians, everybody does. The route is science, engineering, and then US. So that is how all my friends, all my family members, everybody is. So for my mother also a little bit, she wanted me to take that route because all my cousins were going abroad for studying, and I suddenly I said, no, I want to play table tennis. So my father was very happy with the decision. My mother was like, yeah, okay, fine, I will still support you, just because you're my son. But I think the kind of support the parents gave,
Correct.
that's something which is, I think, for any kid to become good in whatever they are. I think without the parent support, it's not possible.
Correct.
So that way there was some discrepancies about, okay, science or commerce, that way. But once I decided that no, I want to play table tennis only, then there was no other thoughts. Even though I could not do very well in the sport immediately, it took me nearly 5 years. So I decided when I was 15, and I played for India only when I was 20. So those 5 years
Correct.
in between, there were a lot of self doubts. if I'll make it, not make it. Am I going the right direction? Will I become a top table tennis player? So all those questions were there, but we just continued to work ahead and go forward.
Sharath, I always keep when we were playing, and you and your younger brother Rajat, who is also an international player, he was always behind your matches and keep supporting you. So, what role he played in your sports and life journey?
Actually, more than a player, post his playing career, he's been very much attached with me in trying to help me
Correct.
in growing from strength to strength. So he had to quit because of a shoulder injury in 2007 2008 around that time, and post that he joined the national team as a video analyst. And since then we've been so he's been like my little bit like my coach. He's been there around with me. So even now in the national championships and stuff, he is coming. So my dad and uncle, they say, okay, Rajat will go with Sharath. So I have that comfort factor with him. And now we have a completely different bonding, as we are more than brothers. We are more like friends because we have the same set of friends. We share everything, like little bit like friends. It's not like we are brothers anymore. And also professionally we have a lot of things in common. So now he's coaching, and he's also doing some business with table tennis
Correct.
equipment. So we have a lot of things in common where we are still in touch with everyday things. And even during the pandemic, he was my sparring partner. A lot of people saw videos on my Instagram and said, "Oh, maybe Rajat is going to make a comeback." so, so yeah, we share a very good relationship.
Correct. I have a very sweet message from him for you.
Okay, thank you.
Hi guys, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Rajat Kamal. I am the younger brother of Sharath Kamal. I want to share with you an inspirational ritual that Sharath has been following all through his upcoming years. Most of us, after a big tournament, we want to take a break, have some home food, and then come back to practice after a week. But in case of Sharath, he used to just land in the airport and drive straight to the academy, have a full practice session, and then go back home. And this was not once or twice, this has been happening all through his career. And it takes immense levels of commitment to do something like that. And I strongly believe that these kind of traits are the ones that have made him what he is today, a class apart.
Uh, Sharath, tell us about this inspirational ritual which Rajat was just mentioning. Follow after every tournament. What guidance you would like to give to upcoming players on the same?
See, for me, it was like I really liked going to the club. I had the passion was there. I wanted to spend every moment in the club. So, and there were also situations when I still remember state ranking. I had lost quarterfinals to, I was just coming into the men's level and men's category, and I was hoping to win that year some state ranking tournament, and I lost in the quarterfinals, being ahead 4 match points. I lost it that evening. I was very, very down, and I was feeling very sad. And the next morning, me and my dad, we were back in the club by around 5:30. We woke up at 4:45 or something. Again, back in the club at 5:30. So those are the things which I felt like, okay, when I lost, I feel like, okay, I haven't done enough, so I must do more. And when I win, I feel like, okay, I have won now, but again for the next tournament, it's a beginning. I have to start from all over again because everybody's trying to beat the best player only. Like all of us want to beat the best player. We are not thinking about beating the number 10th player or the number 5th player. So you as when you win a tournament, you become the target. So for you to keep that place, you need to again start working from zero again. So you have to start the process again. So both the ways, the only way to stay at the top is constant work ethics. So there is one saying which always keeps coming back to me, saying Ability can take you to the top, but it is character which keeps you at the top.
Wow, fantastically put, Sharath. So, connected to this is what is your training schedule for the season, and especially, I would like to know for mental training and physical training, what is your approach or attitude or planning?
More than the coming season, I can tell you how I prepared for the Olympic Games, because I think that
Correct.
can be a lot of
Yes.
insight with for many of the coaches and the players who are watching it. So
Yes.
my training started at 5:45 in the morning. I used to do some rehabilitation exercises from 5:45 to 6:15 or 6:20. Then 6:30 our sessions would start for table tennis training, because we wanted to train according to the Japanese time. So 6:30 in the morning is 10 o'clock. So we knew that we could be playing 10 o'clock matches, and there were two matches which I played at 10 o'clock. So 6:30 in the morning until 8:30, 8:45 in the morning. So, and then I take breakfast, then come back to by around 10:30 to 11 o'clock to the gym. I work for 1 hour in the gym, then do some multi-ball for half an hour, 45 minutes of service practice until 12:45 to 1 o'clock, stretch, go back, eat lunch, again 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock, and then 6:30 to 7:30 was outdoor fitness. So this was the regime I followed, and I try to have sleep by around 10 o'clock, so I have enough sleep all over. So rest is also part of training. I think this you would also agree with that. In between sessions you have to rest enough, because that also counts as your training part. Because if you don't rest, the next session is you are not recovered well enough for your next session. So with the mental part, with the mental training, it was a constant process like physical training. Every day, we make sure our body language is in the right way. You're looking at the right things. You're having the right self talk to yourself when things are not working. So the process starts at 5:45 when I do in my when I start my rehab exercises. That is when the process with the mental training also starts. That is exactly what I tell the youngsters also. It is the warm up before the session where you start preparing mentally. Because if you are able to slowly switch off, many times what happens is you come from school or you come from college or you come from somewhere, you warm up for 15-20 minutes, and then when you start playing, if you're still thinking of what you were doing before, or you're thinking about what you're going to do after practice, then that practice is going to go waste. You're not thinking about what you're practicing now. So during the warm up, you should already switch off everything and say, okay, this next 1 or 2 hours, what I'm going to practice is for my table tennis. So I need to focus on that. So I also saw a couple of kids here in Sonipat where they have exams and they're not able to focus in the table tennis session, because they're thinking about the exam, they're worried about the exam. So that way, it's better that they just prepare for the exam and not waste their time in table tennis. Or other way around, tell yourself, okay, this 2 hours, I will not think about my exams, just prepare for my table tennis training, prepare, practice my table tennis. And then once I finish from here, I will come back with my to my exams. So I think the warming up part is your physically warming up and also mentally warming up.
Super. What is your ultimate goal? Like, how you decide your ultimate goal before starting your training? Like any pre-planning of sequences or targets before training, then monitoring of the same and analyzing the same after the session, which will can guide many players, because there should be some planning or a process, and which I feel or it is missed to see in many areas.
Yes, very true, very true. I think with the younger generation, I feel life is going too fast, and they don't spend enough time to be aware of what they have to do. Physical awareness and mental awareness of what they have to do. So I come from a generation where I still have a diary. I write down, what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses, what are the areas to practice. Let's say last match 1 month ago, I played with Bhushan Thakur. This is how I won my points. This is how I lost my points. These are things which I want to improve, or Then I discuss this with my coach, and then get those things sorted and prioritize. Okay, we can work on service and receive this this week, or we can work on footwork. Okay, let's go. Let's continue, have a continuity of footwork where I'm constantly playing and not trying not to miss, and basic principles of table tennis where you're staying low, having the control on the ball. So these kind of things you put in your practice. So every practice session there is a goal, because without which there is no direction. So every practice session, I break it down into 3 or 4 exercises, and in every exercise there is a goal. Okay, in this exercise I want to work on my forehand technique or my backhand technique or my footwork. On this exercise I want to work on my service and my first ball, or or on my receive and my block. So there is always a goal, short-term goal, long-term goal. So you basically have to prioritize what are the things I want to work today, what are the things I want to work on this week, what are the things I want to see a difference after 1 month. So then it's very easy to understand, okay, this I have worked. And also there's documentation, because when you write down, there's documentation. When you're doing it mentally, you don't know, okay, how many times did I do it, how many times did I do service practice, or you don't remember. Many times after 2-3 days you don't remember what you've done. But when you write it down, or if you're able to note it down on your mobile phone or on a tab, you're able to have some documentation. And then after 6 months later, if you see, okay, these are the things I've done, and I've improved this, I've not improved this, okay, what can I do better now?
So, Sharath, how you plan your goals in table tennis? Like winning 9 times national championship men's title. Did you plan for the same, or it was one at a time, or how did it go?
No. I never thought I'll break Kamleshwar's record. And personally, for me, I never wanted to break that record, because Kamleshwar, is somebody whom we all looked up when we grew up, and then he was our coach also. He was the coach of the national team. So for me, I never wanted to break that record. It just happened that when after winning the 8th time, the eighth time I wanted to win for myself, because I was in a good shape and I prepared well for that national championships, and that was the time I came back to India, moved back to India from Europe. So I wanted to win that 8th time. But the 9th time, what happened was, I went to the hall. I really didn't think or plan that I want to break it this time, or I said I don't. It's okay if I win. I'm happy. If I don't win, also I'm fine. But I went to the hall, and everybody is only talking about breaking that record. So it got to me. I got very nervous. I got very tense. So I had to call Rajat and say, "You just take the next flight and you get here." And by then the singles had already started. I said, I just one day, because he had family commitments. I said, just take today's flight, get here tomorrow evening. We both will go back home. And then he had come. Once he had come, then I could, sit down, relax. Basically, with Rajat, that comfort factor is there. I can just he takes he understands me over a period of time, and he can absorb that stress away from me, and he can still be calm. He doesn't get worked up, because that's his character also. So that way I could win the title. But the best part is, when I won the 8th time and the 9th time, it was Kamleshwar who came first into the arena to hug me. So that shows, the kind of human being he is. So that was really nice that he could come over and say fantastic, because I think more than it's a fantastic relationship we have. It's not just breaking his record, but the kind of relationship we've had.
I saw that visual. I was there in that match, so I saw that visual when Kamleshwar coming inside and hugging you. So it was an amazing two top legends meeting together. Whom you consider as the toughest opponent among all the national championship title you won, and why?
I think the closest that I won was the 9th time when I beat Satyan. I think 14-12 in the last set. No other match went in so close and so intense. There was one time with Somadeep Roy in Calcutta, where he was close to win the match. He was 3-2 ahead and 9-7 ahead. But from there, I turned the match, and in the deciding set, I won quite comfortably. And there was no other match. I think it went in so close, so intense into the last set. So I think the best match was with, in fact, with Satyan when I won the ninth title, because it was also it was my ninth time and it could be his first time. So the pressure was equal. It was not. It was not like I was trying to. I had added pressure or he had added pressure. So the pressure was balanced, and then the match was really one of the best.
Sure. Next question is, I think it will be very much important for the youngsters also. Your initial struggles on your journey of becoming a champion, as you played your first national championship final at the age of 20. But more importantly, what I wish to know is what is the key or strength behind your patience? Because that's a very difficult part for many to sustain.
I think as young players, as a young player, both in the club, uh, both my coaches, like my father and uncle, they had very high expectations on me. So they always said I will become a national champion, because, and I trusted their words because they have seen other top players, and I felt like, okay, if they feel that, maybe I can become a national champion. So my target was always, getting there. So I never gave it up, gave that idea of not getting there. uh, of course there were doubts, there were some things, because my first by the age of 19, my parents, they expected that I'll do very well, and they had come in fact to Delhi in 2001 national championships, and they all thought I would do well, and I lost in the second round. So I was very, very disappointed. I was very dejected. Parents were also dejected. But then they said, no, no problem. We'll continue to go ahead. And the next national championships, I played the semifinals. I think in that process in between, I was called in for my first national training camp in Ajmer, where 16 of us was there. Me, Arup Basak, Subhajit Saha, so many brothers, so many players there. And that was my first national camp, and that national camp gave me a lot of confidence. And being with you guys, training with you guys, uh, understanding what it takes to get there, that gave me a lot of confidence. That year, actually, I came into the Indian team. I played the final of the national championship, lost to S. Raman in 2002 in Pune. Your favorite stadium in Balewade, where you always do well. So that was my first break into the national team. But until then, I always lost very early in the national championships and never made it big. Even the national ranking tournaments, one-off tournaments, I used to do well, but never had a great ranking. But I still continued, to go in that, continue to pursue my goal. I never gave up. I even though I lost, I still went next morning to the fitness ground and then to the table tennis club. So I think the work ethics helped me get over, the hurdles that were there.
Sure. As your father also mentioned in the video, and what I have also seen in the beginning days of your career, that you used to try a lot of new strokes, which was generally not very much common to see. And that also, what he also has mentioned, that it takes some time for you to come in the main arena. So, is it good or bad to start to try out new strokes?
I think it depends on the coach. If the the trust, again, the faith between the coach and the player. If the player is willing to take that risk, the coach should be able to say, okay, this much of risk is okay. More than that is not good enough. If I think you also know this, Werner Slager was also the same way. Before he became the world champion, a lot of things he had some crazy ideas. Things he would defy physics with in terms of how the ball can travel and everything. But when things started to fall into place, it became very well. So that's why I say it is up to the coach to understand, okay, will things fall into place or not? Because if things are not going to fall into place, I'm just going to be another flash in the pan. Sometimes I can get those shots and do well. So I think the intention of playing the shots has to be very, very correct. So if you like these days, like I think even back in those days for us, nobody taught us backhand. They said play only forehand because backhand, yeah, backhand क्या है, थोड़ा style मारने के लिए है. It's only for style
Correct.
factor. But all over the world they were playing backhand, so nobody taught backhand to us. But it was a necessity. So I think there the balance is if we are able to see where we are going, or the coach is able to see what we are doing. So that way
Correct.
we have to try the new things, but we have to do it in a measured way.
Correct. Sharath, what was your biggest moment or one biggest learning of life during this journey of table tennis?
Um, the most important thing I've seen is in my long career, not just in my career, in a lot of people's career, there'll be a lot of ups and downs. A lot of
Correct.
people will play well. You will be playing well for 2 seasons, and then you will be playing your worst ever season when you are expecting to do something better. And then from there, if you're able to continue to work, you will again slowly climb the ladder back up. So the graph is always slowly up and down. So through this journey, what I've understood is the guys who are mentally tough, they always come back. So that's what the saying is, right? When it says when the going gets tough, the tough get going. So
Correct.
you know that at every peak there's going to be a fall. So you have to embrace that fall. You have to accept, yes, this is part of my journey. And when you're going down, you also know that it is not forever going to go down. You will again go up. So at every point, it is important to stay positive and try to continue to work.
Super. So here we start our rapid fire round.
Okay.
And my first question to you is a moment which you cherish.
I think, of course, the Tokyo Olympic Games, playing that match against Malong, where so
Malong.
many,
Correct.
so many thousands or lakhs of people saw that match, and they showered their praises. I think that is something where I'm really happy that I could motivate so many people and make people believe
Yes.
that yes, we can beat the Chinese.
Correct. And I think that will happen soon.
Yes, I hope that will happen soon.
A moment which you cherish with your coach.
Again, when I was on the lowest of lows, when I there were days when I felt like I will quit. I want to quit. I'm not doing well. Expectations to reality. There's no balance. Everything is going haywire. That is the time when the coach is coming in, to the hall, taking all the negativity from you, trying to give you positive. Of course, he's getting tired because he's absorbing all the negativity from you and he's trying to be positive. So this is one thing where what I say, Roger Federer said once, you don't need a coach when the sun is shining and the birds are singing. It's the rainy
Correct.
days when you need somebody who's there behind you.
Very well said. If you had your human body but head of an animal, then which animal would you pick and why?
Head of an animal, I think I would like to have maybe the one of which I'm able to. Yeah, the thing is, I want to stay positive. So I really don't know which animal is as positive as a human being. So I still feel like human beings. A few of them are, they can look at things on a lighter side very easily. Like mostly the monks. So let's say the very renowned monks who are there. So their ability to understand what life is, their how to they don't get angry. First thing is they don't get angry, so they have complete control of their emotions, but at the same time they feel happy and they spread positivity. So that is
Correct.
what I want my head to be.
What was the worst thing you ever did as a kid and got away with it?
I bunked school. I ran away. I said I packed my bags after practice. I said I'm going to go to school and took my bicycle and went to my friend's place, who was in college, and he didn't go to college also. When I came back, I saw my dad at school. My dad was looking for me. But still, I got away with that. Dad somehow, yeah, he did say anything.
I hope he will know from now, or he will be knowing it before also. Sharath, one thing world does not know about you.
The world doesn't know about me that I was a very short-tempered player. Not many
Oh.
people know that. As a young player, I've broken rackets. My racket's edge always used to be flat because I kept hitting on the wall or on the table. I used to hit myself and break the rackets also. So I, I I still remember there was one match where I lost and I went under the table and I started crying. And my dad is trying to call me out and say, I don't want to come. I just want to stay here. The next match was announced and I was still sitting there and crying. So I was also short tempered.
Oh, one thing which I also know is about you used to love guitars. Like when we used to come back from Sweden together, you used to carry a big guitar with you, and we used to sit down on the airport and used to play that when our flight used to get delayed. I guess if you remember in Moscow.
Moscow. Yes, yes. I have a liking to music. I liked playing it, and I hope I can learn. You know, in a proper sense. Back then, I just learned it by myself
Correct.
and from my friends. But music is something which keeps all of us moving, keeps all of us emotionally attached. There's so many different situations for where music comes into our life.
Correct.
So I'm really happy, blessed to be in this era where I can still listen to the old music, I can still listen to the new music.
Correct. Uh, Best advice you have ever received?
Best advice I've ever received, also from Kamlesh sir: expect less, don't put too much pressure on yourself.
Wow. One food
Because
you
every
love the
time,
most? Sorry.
sorry, oh, just one explanation. Because
Yes.
every time he saw me play for India, at a time where I was doing well, and there's a lot of pressure on me because every time it was like, if I win two matches, we can win. So I took that pressure on myself, and many times I've lost. So Kamlesh sir always say, no problem, you just go in and do it. That's something what I learned from Timo Boll when I went to Germany.
Oh,
He doesn't take the pressure on him. He just does his job. So when he does his job, he's winning both his matches. So very,
correct.
very professional, very, very clinical in his approach.
Very well said. One food you love the most?
Asian Thai food, or even Indo-Chinese. Indo-Chinese is something: chili chicken, garlic noodles, or any of these things. It's always all-time favorites.
Fantastic. One thing you would like to change about yourself?
To be a little bit more not so emotional with myself, to be stronger, especially when there's some kind of conflict, or when I'm not able to, when there are too many things happening around me, I get carried away. Instead,
Oh,
I just should keep my focus and to be more adhesive with myself.
correct. What you miss the most?
Family, of course, because with the kind of traveling I've had, and I have two kids, so 10 years
Correct.
and 4 years old. So the growing years, I'm missing that a lot. So spending time with my wife, my mother back then in 2008, after Beijing Olympic Games, she said, it's enough, you just come back home, you played enough. So since then I've been telling, yeah, just give me 2 more years, 2 more years, 2 more years. So it's been 12, 14 years now. Since then.
That keeping that balance is really, really amazing.
Yes.
I tried to get a video from your wife, but unfortunately not able to get it through Rajat.
Oh, good. She would have complained here also. you, you first ask him to come home, then I'll give you a video.
Correct. And my last question to you is: describe yourself in 3 words.
Myself in 3 words. Okay, I'm very emotional. That shows on the table also. I connect very well with the people around. People, fans, or let's say the spectators, or my well wishers. You can see
Correct.
me what I am on the court. and that is the reason why people like watching me play, because I'm very emotional. Even on the court, I'm very emotional. So that's the positive I have. Then perseverance. I've continued to, through the ups and downs, through injuries, through bad patches, everything. I've continued to go ahead, come back from strength to strength. And I think the passion, the love for what I'm doing, I think that's something. Again, my wife still complains. Table tennis is still my first love. She's second. So I don't know how or why. I just like to stay in the hall and play the sport and watch people play. So the passion is evergreen.
I think that answer will remain till the end because that is something your true love.
Yeah.
And Sharath, before we log off, what you would like to address to all sports person and sports enthusiasts of India?
I think sports in India is in the right direction. We are getting the right kind of exposure we need as not just as players, as coaches, as administrators. I think the sporting industry or the sporting fraternity by and large, it's becoming more and more professional. It's becoming more getting to the top is getting very difficult. So, but at the same time, the exposure, the awareness is fantastic. I think this is something which we need to constantly keep growing in this direction to make sporting industry or the field more professional, where the kids and the parents or the coaches, people in the sporting fraternity are able to produce Olympic champions. So I hope to see in the 2024 or 2028 Olympic Games, India on a very high part of the medal tally, which I'm pretty much sure will happen. We just need to continue working on these lines.
Correct. Thank you, Sharath, for taking out time and agreed to share your life journey, which will definitely inspire and motivate many.
Thank you, Bhushan. Thank you. It was a pleasure being on Sports Champ, and I wish you good luck for the future endeavors.
Thank you so much, Sharath.
Thank you. Bye.
Dear viewers, I hope you must have enjoyed the show and also learned and got inspired with this episode as I am. We'll keep on breaking such inspiring episode which will guide many sports person in their journey of sports. Have a good evening.